Let's talk about Arsenal. The feel-good factor clearly is growing, continues to grow under Mikel Arteta. They've won 3 of their 4 games in the Premier League. Is he worthy of the praise that he's receiving right now, Rafa?
I think so. I think it's really important for Arsenal, a club that have been really trying to get back to previous levels, trying to be competitive again, first in the Premier League, but then, of course, also in Europe, that you get the sense that this is someone who is taking the team forward. I think everyone's very realistic at Arsenal. They know the money isn't available to make up that gap to City, to Liverpool overnight. But what you want to see is someone who understands the demands of a manager and who suggests, with the performances, with the way that individuals and collectively the team respond to you, that he can be a part of the solution rather than a problem. And I think that was very much the impression that Emery had left on most people before he left, that he wasn't going to be able to take this team forward. With Arteta, there is that momentum. There's a sense, here's a guy that's taking us forward. But the gap is still huge. The gap is huge. And I'm not sure it's going to be enough this season to qualify for top 4. And I think the margin of error is a very small one, because 4 is a real success. 5th,
Europa League again.
Exactly. So it's a really difficult thing now to take that positive momentum and actually turn it into something that's tangible, because the FA Cup, yes, is great. People are happy with trophies. Community Shield, wonderful. But in terms of Arsenal structurally, where they need to go to become competitive again, the Champions League is absolutely vital. And if they can't do it, then it's another lost season. And I think it's going to be really difficult, despite all the positive things I've said about Arteta.
He's an incredible communicator. I mean, we exact opposite to Unai Emery, unfortunately for Emery. But we were talking about Klopp and his 5-year anniversary. And one of the things Klopp did very quickly was not just change the narrative inside the club, but changed it, transformed it outside the club. And I think Arteta's had a similar effect in a short period of time. We talk and think about Arsenal differently now. He's given that sense. He's quietened the noise that was around the club. Mesut Ozil has just been left out of the Europa League squad, and it's not a drama. You know, Arteta's in control. That's not a crisis that's overwhelming anything. It's just a footnote. You know, when he was beaten at Liverpool, second game of the season, his post-match interview was remarkable. He turned it into a kind of positive day at the office, and he's produced this from the start, this ability to make you believe. Fans believe, media believe, players believe that he's taken the club somewhere, and that counts for a lot in football. Of course, Raphael's right. He's now got to do the actual taking forward, but he's created a position from where he can do it, and it's difficult, but it's an open season. It's not a bad season for him to be trying to get in the top 4 because of all the issues we've talked about with United and City and all.
And Arsenal have really gone from being a byword for being flaky and disorganised and fragile and vulnerable to now being quite obdurate, difficult to play against, really strong on the break.
Principled.
The sort of things that I think as a fan put you in a very good mood, because then you can kind of fantasize or imagine what would happen if you go the next steps. But making those next steps is still going to be tricky.
And there are 2 aspects of what's happening with Arsenal that I think are very interesting. First, Arteta is not afraid of making big decisions. Mesut Ozil, for example, not being on the Europa League squad. And he showed that since day one. And I think players like that because they know where they're going. And he seems very much in sync with everything else that's happening in the club. So the directors like him. He works well with Edu. They really get along. And he participates in everything. He sees the bigger picture. He's not only there to ask for players and make this team play as they want to. But he's participating in a bigger change that's happening at Arsenal that was about to happen. And the fans were expecting it to happen.
He looks so in command. You've got to remind yourself that he hadn't managed a team until December. He looks like he knows exactly what he's doing. And
like you said in the break, actually, you said he's got the keys, really, isn't he? To do whatever he wants. But he's got the backing of those above him, more importantly. There is the Ozil, a fella on £350,000 a week. There's talk in the papers today that he might be going to the MLS in America. But he's also provided routes back to the first team. Xhaka, after taking his shirt off, you know, the fans thing. Even Bellerin. I thought Hector Bellerin was going to be, by all intents and purposes, out of the club, but now he's a first-team fixture, he's a starter.
El Neni.
Right? El Neni, another one.
It was a club looking for answers in the same way that United are looking for answers. That they were looking for that post-Wenger figure to rally around, and he's providing that so far. He's given the sense that he can be that. And it comes out, it's clarity, it's consistency of decisions, making big decisions.
Arsenal will still be hampered by some of the confines of the club. Because, you know, they made some pretty big moves by their standards, getting Thomas Partey, but it had to come via loan from the owners, which is very unusual. It shows, on the one hand, that they really believe in Arteta and in the project, and they're willing to support him to the point where perhaps in the past they wouldn't have. But it also shows you just how difficult it is to get that kind of investment in for Arsenal. But I think what the big difference is now that the supporters understand there's some confines here, but within the confines, Arteta is getting kind of 99% or 98% out of the existing resources at his disposal. And if you feel that about a manager, you feel very positive, because everything else he can't really control. And I think that's what that explains sort of the groundswell of support and opinion and optimism that he enjoys at the moment.
Fans are hoping that Thomas Partey is a game-changing signing. So what's a good season for Arsenal if you think the top four might be out of reach for them?
I think top four is what will define whether it's a successful season or not, unless they win the Europa League. But even then, I think they need to be top four. I think they're capable of it, though.
You do, Natalie?
Yeah, the same. It needs to be top four and keep delivering good performances. I think the fans, they need to see the improvement. They need to keep seeing the improvement that's already happening.